So welcome to Tales from the Epic IEP. If we haven't met him, Karen Mayer Cunningham, special education boss, hang on. This one's going to be a little bit longer, but it's so worth it. Where we're going to bring you stories that are funny, frustrating, and fantastic as we serve kids with the IEP. And so I was in a meeting and I prepare for meetings and I really do assume that we are going to get in there. We will all share our information. And based upon that information, we'll kind of see the information the same way and we'll write an epic IEP for the student to have successful student outcomes. It doesn't always work that way. And sometimes I'm prepared, but I'm never prepared for what somebody is going to say. And so we were in a meeting. Student is greatly impacted by the comorbidities of his disabilities. The district has brought in an attorney. They brought in the director, the special education director, the international director of greatness. I don't even know who all these people are. And we were simply asking for the student to have access to the campus, access to the playground, and be able to participate based upon his unique circumstances of his disability. And the student has a physical abnormality, and we were discussing that with the school, which causes him to not be very stable when he walks, and he doesn't have any arms. His hands grow out of his chest based upon his medical condition. So I'm sort of explaining this to the school. He's learning to walk. He wears a little helmet. You're going to need somebody in proximity of him. And they just weren't having it. They were not having it. And they were making it really unpleasant for the parent at the meeting. And so finally, I said, he needs a paraprofessional. And they were like, why? I said, because, he's learning to walk and he needs that. And she said, well, how often will he be walking? What do you mean? How often will he be walking? I mean, we have a little strap for him in the chair. Why would he walk? He's a walker. He walks. He's learning to walk. And so the attorney said, until he is able to prove that he is stable, he will have to stay in that chair, stay in a stroller, or stay attached to a gait belt. And I said, well, good news. You don't have to worry about that. He's 3. He doesn't have any arms. When he's 50, he probably will not be able to prove that he is stable. And we go back and forth and back and forth. And she finally said, in all of her frustration, and this is the key, right? If you ever let people finish talking, which is why I always say to schools, why don't you let the parents just finish? Just let people finish, right? Because when people speak, you can hear and know where they are, right? And the attorney said, on behalf of the school district, based upon his disabilities, and we were asking for the playground to be ADA compliant. And she said, based upon his disabilities, I don't even know if ADA is a consideration for him. What? And so listen to people at the meeting. They will tell you exactly what they believe to be true. Now, when we get in meetings, there's an attorney. How many of you guys think the school district attorney is the law of the land, is the sheriff of special education? How many of you think that a school district attorney would tell you something that's not true to the school district? I would lean into that. If it's true, it will be borne out where? In the law, right? And I direct you guys all the time to the law. If it's the truth, it will be in here. If it's the truth about what she said for ADA, it would be on the ADA's website. And I want you to learn to use your critical thinking. I haven't worked for a business in a very long time, and schools are a very big business. Think about who you're following. Think about who is training you. Think about who is equipping you with knowledge and access so you can be the most amazing paraprofessional there is, the most amazing diagnostician there is, the most amazing adaptive physical education teacher there is. Think about who is training you and think about their training. So while we all know I'm not a college graduate, I'm not a quitter either. I've dropped out of a lot of colleges. I am self-taught, and I have learned over the last 29 years that the law, the letter of the law, the spirit of the law, so that you can help continue to have kids have successful student outcomes. I think one of the things that's most polarizing between parents and advocates and schools is that often school-based members believe and would pass a lie detector test that everything the school has told them up until that moment has been the absolute truth. And I wish it was. I really wish it was. But sometimes we've had leadership in schools that told you information that was not accurate. Sometimes they knew it wasn't accurate, and sometimes they didn't know it wasn't accurate. But because they were your boss and they articulated it passionately, you believed it passionately, I want you to use your critical thinking. If it is the law, you can find that out from your state education agency, from your Department of Education agency. But I want you to start thinking for yourself, finding out the information for yourself so that you, however you sit at the IEP table, whatever kind of stakeholder you are, that you know that you are doing things based upon facts and requirements. That's all we're ever asking as great advocates, that we make decisions based on facts and accurate information. And when we do that, kiddos win at the highest level. And my mission statement is not just a mission statement. When we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody. And let's keep doing that. You guys go out and get the Epic IEP. It's going to change your life. And give it to somebody that needs it. Give it to a parent, give it to a teacher, because we know that schools are doing their very best to serve kiddos. And we want you to have the information that changes kids' lives. Thank you for being there. Thank you for watching these, and we'll see you guys in the next training. All right, now for our next one. Okay. Welcome to today's episode of the Epic IEP. We're going to tell you stories that are fantastic, frustrating, and sometimes funny, but they really happen at IEP meetings. If we haven't met him, Karen Mayer Cunningham, Special Education Boss, hang on. This is going to be a little bit longer, but it's going to be so worth it. Do you ever get an IEP meeting and we're just kind of sludging through it? You know, when those happen, Mondays. Can we all agree that all Monday IEP are Mondayed? And I was in an IEP meeting. It was really early, and I'm not really an early person. I like to be up till 2 a.m, but we have different time zones in America. And so I was serving a kiddo on the East Coast. I live in Texas, which is not the East Coast. And the IEP meeting started at 7:20 a.m., which means it started when for me? At 6:20 a.m. And can we just agree that the glam squad has not left my house at 6:20? But I agreed to this meeting. It was pretty short. It was kind of procedural. And we were just talking about ESY. Have you ever been to a meeting that was supposed to be short, get in and get out, but we got in and we couldn't get out? And so pretty simple meeting. Kiddo has multiple disabilities. He has a vision impairment. He has an orthopedic impairment. And so I really think that most of my meetings, when we ask for something or request something or talk about something, it's going to be a non-issue. But so often I find out that I'm wrong. And so this kiddo is visually impaired, orthopedically impaired. And so we were just having the quick get in, get out meeting about ESY, the amazing ESY, extended school year services. And I said, we're wanting Billy to have extended school year services. And they were like, oh, what are you talking about? For him to participate in ESY. And she goes, why? I said, because it's a related service under IDA that he needs. And she goes, well, he has to have documented regression of IEP goals with a profound amount of time to recoup that skill. And he doesn't have that. And I said, I know he doesn't. I'm so excited about that. But that's not the only prong for ESY. She goes, yes, it is. And I said, it is not. That's one of the prongs. But the second prong is for ESY is concern for loss of critical skills. And she said, well, we would have to have data to support that. Oh, you would have to have data to support that he's going to lose critical skills of something that's going to happen in the future? Correct. I said, good news. You don't have to have proof that that's going to happen. You have to know by the acuity of his disabilities and his critical needs is that it would be not in his best interest for him to have 9, 10, 11, or 12 weeks off for summer break. And she said, well, what are you wanting to gain? I said, good news, nothing. ESY isn't for gain, it's for maintenance. And she was very unhappy about my answer. We had to take a break. I said, because we're going to, she goes, we'll just agree to disagree. No, we're not going to agree to disagree. We're going to make decisions based on data. It's the only thing that we do in IEP meetings. We make decisions based upon data. And she goes, well, I don't agree with you. I said, well, let's take a break and we can call the state education agency. And she said, we're not going to do that. I said, we are going to make a decision based upon good information. So let's take a break. Why don't you call somebody from the district level and then we can jump back on in 10 minutes. So we took a break. I applied some more hairspray and lipstick because that's what we do in Texas. And she came back on. She goes, we're going to be granting ESY at this time. She didn't seem very happy about it. So early to be unhappy. And I said, super. So we're going through it. We're kind of chit-chatting, I love people. I'm amused by people. I'm enamored by people, but we have to get it right for the child, right? It's not personal, it's business. And so she screen shares, we're all on Zoom now, and she screen shares and she's like, Miss Cunningham, I cannot find your name on the signature page. And she has it, it's live, right? In Success Ed. And we all know that Ed was never successful. And so she's looking it up and she's typing it in. And she goes, I don't see your category. So I said, because I'm a stand-up comic also, I said, well, it's probably under swimwear model, which I thought was really funny. And so did everybody else on the Zoom at, 8:03 now or whatever time it was. And I said, it's probably under swimwear model. And she goes, that's not funny. I said, actually, it is. It is. If you don't have a little levity in this job, it's going to be a very long life, right? And so we can still have fun with people. We can still agree or disagree or not come to consensus and still be lovely people and still be professional and still, move on. But anyway, so just for you guys, next time they can't find your area on the signature page, just try it. Just say it's under swimwear model. I mean, for me, swimwear modeling was in my past. It was during Watergate, 71, 72. That was a good year. It's been a while. But you guys remember, let's go have a good time. Let's serve kiddos at the highest level. Let's do what's right for kiddos. Let's get decisions based on data, and we'll continue to get it right for kids. We'll see you guys in the next training.